Assalamualaikum everyone. I'd like to welcome all hipsters on this delightful Friday afternoon to yet another Tech Talk webinar. This is the second one actually that we are having virtually. So we had one during the MCO. That was the first virtual webinar that we had by Cyberview. And also today it's in collaboration with, it's an internal webinar that we are having in collaboration with a few of our departments and also with Finex Capital. So today's webinar is a little different since it's a closed session meant for hipsters only. Untitled Atasha, that's what we call ourselves here at Cyberview. We're all hipsters.
Awesome.
Yes, and so we are still in the midst of adjusting to this new norm. So this online get together is just timely, I think. Now, we always hear about Cyberjaya being a smart city, but actually what kind of community does it take to make a city a smart city? We're always talking about Cyberjaya being a thriving living lab and a smart city. So what role does the community have for us to live up to these labels? Now, we are not only part of a community, but we are also the city's custodian. Cyberview itself is the city's custodian, responsible in driving the development of technology, particularly in Cyberjaya. And we're also known as a tech hub developer. So it is important that we know how to contribute in accelerating Cyberjaya to ultimately become the preferred investment location. So today we have, ladies and gentlemen, an expert guest speaker to talk to us on our role as the inhabitants or as part of the community of a smart city or the center of tech innovation. His name is Mohd Atasha alias, and he is an experienced senior management and business advisor with more than 18 years of experience in the technology sector, spanning across Asia, East Africa, the European Union, the United Kingdom, and the United States. His role is to advise business leaders on how to thrive in the digital era and connects them to business and investment opportunities. He's active in the tech startup ecosystem, dealing extensively with founders, investors, corporate, and the government. Prior, Atasha was responsible for a special national project where he had to negotiate on behalf of the Malaysian government in attracting foreign and direct investment, high impact projects, including Fortune 500 companies. He has secured 7 billion ringgit in investments with more than 11,000 jobs in 2 years. He has successfully helped some of the world's leading multinational brands across many industries, including helping small and medium businesses to develop leaders and accelerate organizational performance. Now, before we officially start, I'd like to inform all hipsters that we will have a Q&A session later. So what you can do at any time throughout this session today, as you hear from Encik Atasha, you can submit your questions through the Q&A box. You can see the Q&A icon at the bottom of your screen. So just submit your questions in there and we'll address them later on during the Q&A session. So with that, Encik Atasha, the floor is all yours.
Thank you, Nadia. Thank you for a fantastic introduction. Wow. It was on Friday and you still have a lot of energy.
Yes, that's what makes us hipsters.
Awesome. And good evening. Assalamualaikum and good evening, hipsters. It is my absolute pleasure to be here and thank you so much for making time. Some of you may know me, some from in the past. Let me start by, can I share my screen? So, can I share my screen?
Yeah, sure, yeah. I'll let you know when we see it. Is it loading? You're sharing the screen?
They say host disable participant screen sharing.
Oh, okay. Let me ask our IT guy, Zach. Can you enable him to share the screen?
Yes, Cyberview has been integral in my career. I've been on and off working with Cyberview in my previous role. And I will share with you guys a bit more on the history. Okay, I got it. Thank you. Can you guys see my presentation deck?
Yes, we can see it. If you can put it into a slideshow format, yeah, all right.
All right, okay. So the topic given to me about community building is very close to my heart because community building has helped my personal career growth and also helped to achieve organization goals that I'm working with. I was formerly from MDEC. So this was back then, not long ago in 2015, we collaborated, I myself collaborated with Cyberview to brought this project called Google Center of Excellence in Cyberjaya. So it was in collaboration with Tech Mahindra. So at that point of time, they were previously known as Mahindra Satyam. So they have Satyam campus, big Satyam campus. So when I met the country director, I said, look, what is sexy about Mahindra Satyam here in Malaysia? So we have got into a few discussions and we realized that Tech Mahindra, the parent company, has collaboration with Google. And we said, look, I'm interested. Can we bring the COE to Malaysia? And this is how I actually got Cyberview involved in my dealings with, in particular, Tech Mahindra. So Cyberview provide the support in terms of infrastructure and give confidence to investors to actually bring more COEs to Malaysia. Now, think of community of leaders. Today, I want to focus more on the community of leaders because if we talk about community, there are too many communities. It could be, cyclists, motorbike. There could be so many type of communities. But today, for this session, I would like to focus specifically more on the community of leaders and how it will grow Cyberjaya eventually. So think of community leaders like the snowball. At first, it was very tough for us to find the positioning, especially to grow, to position Cyberjaya to investors. But once you got that position and you're able to bring few community leaders to strengthen that value proposition, it will become the snowball effect. So what do I mean is that this. So this is another my direct client called Huawei. So Huawei set up the first COE outside China in Cyberjaya at the near Prima at the Starbucks there. So we actually convinced, at that point of time, the CEO, his name is Abraham Liu, very young. So I asked him, do you have a similar COEs in other parts of the world that has not been outside China? So they say, yes. So this is what we brought in 2015, subsequently, after we brought Google Center of Excellence. So this is another ripple effect, thanks to the power of community. So bringing investors to Cyberjaya is not as easy as you might think. There's a lot of work. Whoever have done it before, so many people at the back has to really support us. So one of my colleagues, one of the main challenge that has always been the challenge until today is talent development. So I will give credit to my friend. He's just joined the Cyberview arm because I was quite a number of times I actually disturbed him, because my clients need help when it comes to talent, and Ang is the one who's very responsive, very helpful. So from that kind of support, we able to really bring that confidence, and then the country head usually, or the managing director of the country, would usually use what we have positioned to their management level. That will make it easier for them to gain more confidence at their management level. So with the support of the community. Subsequent to that, actually, we have brought in thousands of jobs and billions of investments into the country. I believe some of you guys are familiar with those. These logos are actually my direct client. So I have two other friends, comrades in MDAC. His name is Stanley and Danish. So Stanley and Danish has their own set of portfolio. This is purely my portfolio. In the first four, this selected portfolio, first four are actually all based in Cyberjaya. So we managed to pitch and brought them to Cyberjaya. I was trying to get Slumberjay and also Stanchart to Cyberjaya, but unfortunately they prefer to be in the specific location they are in now. Because of the community that we have created, we actually, with the supports of teh tarik crew of CEOs level, so we usually hang out at Karma Lounge. Karma Lounge in Cyberview Spa, Cyberview Lodge. So that is actually where most of the deals we made actually in Cyberview Lodge. So we had a regular session where we call like-minded leaders, they are directors of companies who lead their own respective organization, to strategize how we can also bring more other investments, so we can actually multiply or add more new members to our respective group. So that like-minded sharing session among leaders truly helped myself to learn how we put Malaysia on the map and how we always win compared to Singapore and also Philippines. Bringing investment into the country is not something that is just one or two meetings you can bring them into Malaysia. So they would consider the cost factor. So I usually, when I first started the first 6 months, the usual question they ask, how much we can save if we be here in Malaysia. So I said X amount, roughly you can save from where you are. And then they will usually compare us with Philippines. I say, but Philippines is cheaper. Why should we be in Malaysia? So I asked them, look, if you want to go cost by cost, it's going to be very difficult. I believe your analysts, your economists have done that work. But here in Malaysia, I show you the lifestyle that we have. True enough, that most of the business decision, even though bottom line is cost, but lifestyle in Malaysia has proved that Malaysia is a significant is a great country for back office operations to be in. So they love Malaysia about the foods and the warm people. These points are quite boring, but believe me, those are the points that I've been using to all these investors that create thousands of jobs in Malaysia. We show them where to stay, where can they send their kids, and how to connect them with like-minded CEOs level, the so-called the CEO club. So one of the tricks that under this division, which was headed by Michael Warren, we created this program called SSO Focus Group. So we have sometimes we have finance focus group, but the idea is to put like-minded CEOs with which they believe Malaysia is a great place for investments, and put them in one room, and we try to attract more investments into it. So my former colleague, which also just joined you guys, Amin, was also involved in some of the focus group actually. So the focus group is actually about community, the community of leaders. So this is how much community of leaders has created so far in Malaysia, billions of investment and jobs created. So 2 years later, this go back to the Tech Mahindra story. So the guy that I circle is basically, his name is Sudhir. Sudhir was the country director of Tech Mahindra. And then after 2 years, in 2017, he was promoted as the big boss for ASEAN. And it's good for him, He grew the site in Malaysia at that point of time. And then he was appointed as the now he's managing the whole ASEAN. He's the head of ASEAN. So to me, that's fantastic, And then at that point of time, this was last year. This photo was taken last year. I was appointed by the Wahab Group Singapore as a special advisor to Found 8. And so, you know, even though we have moved to a different organizations, but the relationship is really long lasting. So Tech Mahindra said that they always want to support because of our long-term relationship. So by building community, the right community of leaders, you also have a sustainable relationship that they will go a long way in your career. This is what I personally experienced, and I'm happy for Sudhir. You know, Sudhir also has been promoted to manage the ASEAN market, and also part of doing the intelligence, because I really love to sell Malaysia. So whenever I travel around the world, I always find my time, like 2-3 hours, I will spend at a coffee shop just to promote Malaysia. This is one of example of community development in other countries. So I've done this in Brunei, Bali, Jakarta, Copenhagen, London, Brisbane, Amsterdam, even in Shah Alam, Section 13. So sometimes, you know, I love to get direct insights from community on the ground, you know, what's happening. Because we usually talk to the high level, either from the government, either from corporate, but it's also sometimes very useful to meet entrepreneurs on the ground. So whenever I travel around the world, I usually make friends. So if you can actually replicate this technique, I usually use this technique when I travel. Especially a place that I am curious about their entrepreneur scene. So I then will create my own event and make sure that that I can make some friends through this coffee session. And these coffee sessions, sometimes I actually charge them $10 if they want to participate and also bring their own drink. All right. Right. So as I travel around the world, again, I met the community of entrepreneurs on the ground. I've been spending some time with community of leaders. And one thing that I realized that's very important, that very close to my heart, is about this. The greatest danger in times of turbulence is not the turbulence, but it is to act with yesterday's logic. So you try to succeed in the future, but you're using yesterday's logic. This is very powerful quote. And in fact, a lot of companies, a lot of organizations always in problem because of yesterday's logic. All right. So, and also I'm still active. Pardon of my blurry image. So this photo is one of the photo where I educate the board members of high-level organizations. And this was with Tan Sri Azman and the group. We have chairman of Axiata, we have chairman of a few other companies actually attended this. So it is important for me to educate leaders what they should know ahead. So what did I talk to them about is this. I told them, like, look, I mean, you guys have made fortune, you make millions, you are billionaires, great. But now digital is reshaping our leadership context. Before this, when you want to withdraw your cash, you go to counter, probably you have to go to ATM machine, but right now everything happens in mobile apps. So something about leadership that has to be changed. Previously, when you run a company, 100% of your employees are human. But today, probably 5 to 10% of your workforce is actually machines. So how do you change your leadership to be more suitable in the current hybrid situation? It's not just purely human, but managing machines, the cost of machines. And if you don't really understand the technology context, it's very hard for you to move on. This is what I told them. And building community starts with our own mindset. So the boring mindset has always been about seek certainty. So you want to be certain in everything that you do. You want to be A, B, C, clear cut, and then you make decision. But in the new mindset of building community, we understand that, you know, there are a lot of things that's going on, changes happening all the time. We need to make sure that we ourselves, as a leader of the community, and I believe Cyberview are change makers, because Cyberview is the backbone of Cyberjaya, and cultivate this mindset to thrive in uncertainties that will help the community to grow more beyond what they can think of. So I borrowed this from Gartner. So Gartner has this very nice photo and beautifully crafted this page. The old mindset. This is about the old mindset. So 6 certainty, you optimize the 2 days paradigm. Whatever that you have learned yesterday, you want to implement it today. Only invest in a solid business case. You see that it's clear cut, make money, then only you invest. And then you expect that no project fail. All project must go green. And that is the old mindset. And the new mindset is about thrive in uncertainty. The reason why I didn't mark that all as in the circle, because I can see from my point of view, from Finex Capital point of view, I can see that Cyberview Living Lab has been few years actually embracing, either you intentional or unintentional, have actually embracing a new mindset. So especially in the quest to master the next paradigms and also portfolio of strategic investment bets. So these are actually the part that I'm seeing, that how Cyberview Living Lab actually helping to shape the brand of Cyberview, in putting Cyberview as a company embracing the new mindset, and also learn fast and to win big. So it doesn't matter we fail, we just try and do it again and again, but of course do not repeat the same mistakes. So overall about this slide is that, you know, we should shift from reliance on old mindset. It's not saying that totally you should remove from old mindset. What we are saying is to move a proportion of your mindset to new mindset, rather than just stick to the old mindset, because that will create dangerous blind spots. And another problems that, another issues that we are seeing is that, you know, some companies, some leaders that I met, they are doing so well in the industry. They've been recognized by Forbes. Some of them have been recognized by Fortune magazine. Problem is that they're now afraid to take risks, because they have built that reputation. So they do not want to take risks anymore. They just, no, I don't want to take risks. I'm going to slow down. I don't want to take risks. But actually they can, because, you know, sometimes, you know, when you be at the top and you start playing defensive, you will not grow further. This is where sometimes leaders need to reset their mindset to think, you know, sometimes rather than you play defensive, is good for actually you to win more and more in the future. Right. So this is what happened. Some of you have probably seen this graph. Basically, it's saying that on the left side, you're seeing that the new type of companies are actually becoming, the technology companies are becoming much more valuable in the stock market. So if you go to stock market, today, the old companies who used to be champions in the stock market right now, where they are somewhere at the number 9, ExxonMobil, for example. They used to be number 1 in 2008. So digitally, so if those companies are still playing defensive, and technology company will continue to overtake more and more in terms of position in this area, in the stock market. All right, so now we understand that building community is also about embracing digital. So this was a session that I had in Hangzhou with a company. Some of you, I believe many of you heard about this company called Alibaba Group. So the man stand in front of us, were teaching us about entrepreneurship for about 2 hours. His name is Jack Ma. So Jack actually shared with us his wisdom of running companies. What is important to bind the community together is to have a good icon, someone that people can look up to. Like in this case, we brought entrepreneurs across Southeast Asia and Pakistan. So we put them together in a room, get Jack to give his inspiration to everyone. So during that trip in Hangzhou, we visited a community of farmers and sellers, small sellers. It's actually a village that produces peanuts. So a lot of people, yeah, you're selling peanuts. Peanuts, how much can you get? These people make millions and they bought sport car, they bought big houses just by selling peanuts. Because the village, you know, this concept is not new. Even in Malaysia, we have Felda, we have Felcra. But what is different about this, what's slightly different about this approach that Alibaba does is that they're combining the digital platform, they're combining e-commerce, they enable it, they open the market to around the world. So the village is not, so the resources from the village is not, you know, it's not only being traded by a specific company. Like for example, like Felda. Felda has certain company that's responsible to take all their resources and then sell it back globally. But through Alibaba platform, digital platform, they democratize the demand around the world, whoever want to buy that. That's why they make tons of money in China by just selling literally peanuts in China. Now, what happened after community the community members from Malaysia, entrepreneurs from Malaysia was inspired. Some of these guys, I believe, are familiar faces, like Nade. Nade is quite familiar faces to us. And this community, they were so inspired, including myself. We actually has created so many other events to share what we have learned in China. So that would help to encourage more entrepreneurship development in Malaysia. So one of the key things is that, like, a strong community, that because we bind with the same purpose to make a difference, to change the world, we are very close among each other. They are not, they at first they were like, you know, my peers, but right now they are like my brothers and sisters. You know, really, we talk about real things. We don't talk about surface stuff. We talk about real things, vulnerable issues, and we trust each other to give our own, to give opinion to each other. Now, the program, this community, amazing, but because of the the guy sitting in the middle here is actually Brian Wong. Brian Wong is the global vice president of Alibaba. So every day when I was in Hangzhou, my role is not to participate in the program, but my role is to make sure that I oversee the program and provide feedback. So at the same time, they could create syllabus. So literally the first syllabus of eFounders, we actually reiterate every day. So every evening after the program with founders, I collect feedback, I provide feedback, what's working, what's not working. And Brian will say, you know, Brian himself came down together with his team and said, look, Atasha, shoot us, you know. So I literally gave transparent, honest feedback, what's working, what's not working. They were very much willing to hear and listen. And the best part of it, the next day they changed immediately. So what happened after that program? This program was 2 years ago, but since the past 2 years, they have been sending consistent effort. They've been asking us, you know, if there is support that we need. If there is support that we need, they are willing to come in. They're willing to help. They will find ways to support us. They're always there. At first, of course, people would say this is probably another program, like another program where you join the program, and then suddenly there's no more interaction. But I tell you, Alibaba Group actually made an effort to make sure that if anyone within the community that need help, they always be there. So this is this is the difficult part. Even though Alibaba Group has made much effort towards community building, but not really successful, not easy to be successful, because some of the community members may have their own direction, while some of the community members are active. But this is an ongoing, consistent effort which is needed for Alibaba, in this example, to win the heart of the community members and tie everyone together. It's not an easy job. If you're talking about building community and you plan to do it in 3 months, no way, that doesn't work. They have spent about 2 years and really consistently putting effort to make sure that they will support entrepreneurs within their network all the time. So I've been talking a lot about the community. At the end of the day, a lot of people, when we talk about smart city, always, people would talk about interaction with smart machines. Like, for example, when you wake up in the morning, you go to refrigerator, and the refrigerator will tell you how many things you have in that refrigerator. Probably they will recommend to you, oh, probably this morning you should do this kind of breakfast. But if you if you plan to do other type of breakfast, you just need to buy one thing. Probably they will suggest you to buy one thing, and then with yes, you say yes to the refrigerator, and the refrigerator will connect to the commerce company, and then a drone will come to your house and send whatever that you need. So a lot of people think about on the technology side, but eventually smart city is all about technology. It's not just about technology based, it's technology based human centered city. And this is where community plays a huge important role. There was a book very famous about 25 years ago. I can't remember the book name, but they mentioned about the 3 Ps. When you want to be successful, focus on profit, people, and planet. So a lot of people only focus on profit. So they want to short term. They want to have a return in short term. But if you focus on the other two, planet and profit, this is where your company, your brand will become more sustainable. So at the end of the day, there are many studies about smart city, but I summarize in terms of key points of smart city will be to raise quality of life with access to advanced facilities at a low cost. If you have advanced facilities but the cost is high, there's no way you become a smart city. But if you can source for advanced facilities at a low cost, that will make it possible to increase the quality of life. So this is my last slide. So if you really want to change the world, if you really think that you want to make a difference, focus on make meaning. A lot of companies, a lot of organizations, when I met, they focus on make money. The problem with make money is that if you don't make money, you probably won't change the world. But if you make money, if you make meaning, eventually you make money, and eventually you will change the world. So the worst case scenario, if you make meaning and you don't make money, at least you make meaning. But if you focus only to make money, just for example, just buy and sell stuff, just focus on make money, you wouldn't make meaning, you won't change the world, you won't make a difference for others, only for yourself. So if you really want to change the world, change the community, and create a sustainable community, focus on make meaning. What is the meaning of the community that you want to build? Like, for example, Alibaba, the the reason why they exist, because they want to make it easy for everyone to buy and sell everywhere. So they started with e-commerce platform, enable that to happen. Google, whatever that you're looking for, they can help you. So they created Google. That's the meaning. And Google don't make money during day one. Only after a while, eventually they make money. So same goes to YouTube, Facebook, and Waze. So if you happen to work with a top tier consulting company, um, so they probably will charge you about $1 million just to tell you that, if you want to build something innovative, you have to be on the top right corner at this place. So this is very important slide. I usually share it with my consulting clients, but I would like to give this $1 million graph to you guys today. This is very important because you can use it for your career, you can use it for community, you can use it to build your own product. Make sure whatever that you build, you position yourself or your company or your organization or your community at the top right corner. So if you have a product that is valuable and that is unique, people will remember that. But if you have a valuable product, but they are not unique, it means that you have to compete in terms of price. So for example, if you sell tire, so everybody else sell tire, right? And that tire basically, that tires, you have to compete in terms of price. So that's a different market. But if you truly believe that you create something very unique, but that is not valuable, you just like shot sendiri. It's so unique, no one else doing this, but you just, shot sendiri. The worst corner of all you don't want to be is at the bottom left, where it's not unique, that is not valuable, it's nothing, you just waste of time. Whatever that you do, make sure that you position your company or your team or yourself for career progression. Make sure that you put yourself as a valuable and unique. With that, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Encik Atasha. I think we've learned a lot. I think you've covered like two portions today. One is about a community of leaders. So I think over here at Cyberview, that's where we are, as we are, the role of a technology hub developer. We are spearheading the development of Cyberjaya. So no matter how small or how big the team is, I think it's important that we present a good leadership for those who look up to us. And this includes taking care of the community, not just taking care of those that work with us within our organization, but it's important as well, because we are the face of Cyberjaya. It's important as well that we lead the community in this smart city as well. So I think we have some questions here, Encik Atasha. The first one, let me read it to you.
Oh, okay.
All right. With all the comparison between countries and cities, along with the experience so far, how would you personally define where Cyberjaya was, is, and aspire to be? Because Cyberjaya has been around for 23 years already. And right now we have the new master plan kicking in. Our goal now is to revitalize Cyberjaya. So what would be how would you define where Cyberjaya was, is, and aspire to be?
All right. So I think if I can figure that out, I probably could make millions of money for this. But I could give you my opinion about Cyberjaya. I don't know Cyberjaya for 23 years, but I know Cyberjaya for at least 7 years. 7 years. So I've been to I was actually called by multiple governments in Europe in particular, to look into their ecosystem. But Cyberjaya ecosystem it was in 2015, was actually ahead than the ecosystem of entrepreneurs in other countries. So in terms of support, so we have multiple agencies who are very passionate to support entrepreneurs, who are passionate to bring foreign expertise to do technology transfer in Malaysia, and that actually has, I believe, has advantage. We are actually more advanced than them in that sense. Of course, if you're comparing directly with Silicon Valley, it's very hard. If you're comparing with London, it's also very hard. But no ecosystem that I've seen have a similar traits. So everybody has its unique position. Everybody want to be a leader in their own space. This is why I think if it actually goes back to my diagram, unique and valuable. Like for example, I give you an example. I spent some time in Copenhagen in Denmark. So in Copenhagen, Denmark, the city was actually Copenhagen, Denmark is actually one of the smart cities in the world. So the community, how they work with the community is that they work in a selective manner. Like for example, if you want to be part of community called, for example, Founders House in Copenhagen, you can't just simply, oh, I just signed up and you want to be part of it. They will interview and see whether you have the right mindset, whether you do the right character to be part of the community. And that actually helped them to position to get the aspiring entrepreneur to actually shift their mindset to be part of the community. That is specifically for Copenhagen, and I believe Cyberjaya has its own position. The position that Cyberjaya has, especially for foreign direct investment, was actually really, really good. I give you an example. One company called Prudential. I've met Alex. Alex is the security director. He was supposed to be based. Actually, he was based in Hong Kong. So I met him in one of our social gathering. In 2 hours, I told him about livelihood in Malaysia, lifestyle in Malaysia, and the next month he moved his regional office without any incentive, without nothing, in Cyberjaya. So Cyberjaya has its own value, but of course, is to what aspire to be. I would think that Cyberjaya really need to spend. I mean, Cyberview or stakeholders of Cyberjaya will need to spend in bringing like-minded people. Like for example, the icon of entrepreneurship to be here in Cyberjaya and make them live and stay here in Cyberjaya. That would attract.
Okay, indeed. Now let's go on to the next question. Okay, if a company can't manage both, should the company focus on meaning or money first?
So if you start a company, you should focus meaning. But if you are already running the business, you should focus on money. So it depends on whether you have started or actually you're just starting. If you're just starting, you should focus on make meaning. Because when you have already started, it's very hard for you to change just like that because you have commitment already in your company.
Okay, that's very interesting. Now, at the current state of Cyberjaya, what could be the key actions to attract anchor tenants, which can snowball into more job creations and a better community overall?
Yes, fantastic question. So I spent some time in Japan as well. So Shibuya government, I just give you an example. Shibuya government work closely with embassies. So they were leveraging on a company called EdgeOff. EdgeOff is basically one of the company that Taizo-san, which is the brother of SoftBank, invested. So EdgeOff, you can imagine like a program manager. So EdgeOff pool embassies from, especially in Europe, they're starting in Europe embassies to Shibuya. And of course, Shibuya as province provide a specific incentive for them to do 2 ways between Europe and Japan. Sorry, not Japan, not even Tokyo, it's actually Shibuya, only Shibuya government. So they start small. So Shibuya want to be the leading the leading in terms of getting foreign investment, because in typically Japanese, they don't really like to open their market, but Shibuya want to be the first to open their market and work together with other embassies. And I think in terms of Cyberjaya right now, we can actually do the same. Malaysia has always been the trading country in the world. We always very good with diplomatic, and we are good in actually becoming the hub in Cyberjaya, working with the right people, the right organizations, with clear execution. So a lot of a lot of failures are because of the discussion are very surface. The discussions are, maybe you do this, maybe you do that, but no clear cut position. So I would suggest that if you really strengthen that position, execution is everything. So yeah, that would be to attract.
A clear execution plan is crucial in this sense. Meaning, the next question is, how should individuals holding different functions contribute to community building?
How should individuals holding different functions?
Perhaps how can they come together as a team? How can they work together?
Oh, right. So it depends on the community that you are talking about, because community has always been the strength of Malaysians. Malaysian, we love to berkumpul. We love to be we love to be in the space where with like-minded people. For example, if you're a cyclist, you join the cyclist group. But community building, if you're talking about if you're talking from economic benefit standpoint, where you want to bring investments, of course, you need to start learning to talk like them. You need to learn to understand their jargon, because most of the time, a lot of people want to be in the group, but usually they were not accepted in the group because they talk in different language. They don't see you as part of the group, and you also having hard time to connect. So if you can bridge the gap between understanding how the groups are talking and how they position themselves, then it will be easier for you to contribute. But the first thing is about language. Language has always been the barrier, not English, but that jargon of how they talk among themselves.
To speak their language, be on the same wavelength. So I think that's why we can achieve the same goal.
Yes, then you can contribute.
Right. So in your opinion, what is the pulling factor to attract investors into Cyberjaya? That's one. Also, what type of incentives should Cyberjaya focus on? So probably, from what you've gathered, Encik Atasha, meeting, seeing all these investors, what is one of the most best pulling factor for them when it comes to Cyberjaya?
Okay, this is my personal tactic. I'm not sure whether it's going to work today. My personal tactic has always been asking the CEO to sell for myself. So if I go and tell the other corporate Fortune 500 company CEOs to invest in Cyberjaya, they say, "Who is this guy?" They would recognize me. But I actually ask my friends that's very important to actually have a lot of teh tarik. But besides the teh tarik, is actually to really be transparent on what you want. Because a lot of people actually running around the bushes, sometimes the person do not know what exactly you want. I usually tell them, look, I really want to sell Malaysia. I believe that Malaysia has this kind of strength. Do you think that you share the same opinion? If yes, I'd like to bring XX company. So I usually have my target company that I want to bring. Can you help me to pitch? Usually they will volunteer to help. My friends like Arun Agusti was former MD of Emirio, has been helping a lot. We got a number of guys who truly believe in Cyberjaya, and get them to pitch for you. Don't go and pitch to these investors, because you position yourself as enabler. That would be useful, because they love to listen to from another MDs at the senior level, at the same rank with them. For the type of incentive, of course, the best incentive I can think of if I want to bring companies here is basically the training. The salary subsidy. This was introduced in the past, but right now I don't think that there's still this package where you can match the salary. Let's say we pay half with the company for a certain period of time. That would be fantastic. And another thing is that, like, if you want to bring companies like technology startups who are successful, let's say let's take like Airbnb for example, they're not making money. So if you give tax exemption, also no use because they're not making profit anyway. So they want a different type of incentive. Usually talent has always been the greatest issue, no matter what. You can ask Ang or my ex-colleague, how many times I bothered him before when I was in this position.
Okay, and Atasha, before we go on, I'd just like to let all the employees know that if they have any opinions or if they have any questions that they would like to ask you to interact with you live, they can do that. We can
Okay,
enable
sure.
their audio also. But let's move on to the next question, Atasha. What are the challenges and opportunities that you see in building a smart community based on your experience?
What challenges or opportunity that you see in the smart community? I don't think I have the example and also experience in about smart community. I'm not really sure what does it mean by smart community. But if you're talking about smart leaders, no, sorry, about leaders community, this is where I'm really I can help. But smart community, I'm not sure what does it really mean.
Okay, so maybe you can answer based on the building of a smart leadership community. How would you, what kind of challenges and opportunities can we see from that?
In general, for every issues on building community is the someone that can glue everyone together. So usually you have a wrong community person taking the community job that always cannot unite everyone because they don't they because a lot of, especially in technology companies, they are sucks in social. They are not really social. They are not like celebrities, love to social, but they are just like
Mhm.
tech entrepreneur, love coding and all those things. They are not good with social. So if you don't have someone that's really, really good in gluing everyone together and understand those and how to bridge those communication gap, it will be the first big challenge because they won't share. So I'm facing this myself because my team in Japan, so they don't talk much. Actually, they are very good executor, but they don't talk much. So if they talk, so whenever I told them about, maybe I speak to them for 3 minutes, they only reply, a very short sentence because they don't usually love to share things. So my strategy was to hire my very good HR who always want to talk, always challenge them to talk, and also we bring some other people who they love to know about things. Like for example, we brought UX expert, UX expert from Japan. This guy is a top-notch guy, so they would want to interact, but to us is a good progress. Someone who don't interact right now, they're able to interact because of the subject of interest.
I think we complement each other. There are different types of personalities and characters, but what makes a community of leaders is that they complement each other and they work towards one goal, but together. Even though they might be different, but I think they must find a common ground in order to move forward. And I think when you're in the technology sector, all of these tech savvy people are usually not the most talkative people that we find. But I think that's where we have to complement each other. That's very important. We
Yes.
have another question here. On a community level, how do you balance the advancement of the city with the existing residents in Cyberjaya? Because this will gradually turn the city into a busier place. So, in other words, influx of people into Cyberjaya versus the residences, the residents.
Okay. Um, I think the
How do
community
you find a
level,
balance?
yes, okay. advancement of the city depends on how we measure it. So it goes back to how you measure what is advanced, the meaning of advancement in your dictionary. Like, for example, if you're saying that, I heard that I think Cyberview has this tagline about capital of creation. So, so basically, you bringing entrepreneurs or creators to be in Cyberjaya. The influx of people or talent that has the same capability in Cyberjaya, um, I believe will attract more investments and also more organizations to support. That would eventually make Cyberjaya as a vibrant place. But when you talk about balancing between its residents, I've never actually seen this as an issue because Cyberjaya itself, I believe the town planning actually has sufficient environment to support the residents itself versus the growth. What we are lacking in Cyberjaya is actually the underutilized rather than utilize the capacity that we have in Cyberjaya.
Okay, we have a question from Atira here. There are many types of smart cities in the world. You mentioned one also, Copenhagen, Denmark. Now, solving all kind, they solve all kind of local issues. But what do you think is the focus of a smart city that Cyberjaya should embrace?
Wow, this is $1 million question. I'm thinking that Cyberjaya has actually attracted um, ASEAN community. So ASEAN community, where you cannot see any parts of the world, any parts of ASEAN country that has position as has the right positioning as Cyberjaya to help companies from foreign countries to access the whole Southeast Asia ecosystem. Like for example, recently I brought company from Japan as well, and I said that um, Malaysia has the test bed opportunity. So if you set up in if you set up in Southeast Asia, you just go in with your existing product. It's gonna be really really hard. But if you have a playing field that you can test anytime, which I quoted Cyberjaya, that allows them to reduce their risk of investment because they don't know whether it may work well in Japan, but it probably will not well in Indonesia, in Singapore, in other parts of the world. And the testing opportunity, like in Malaysia, we have the regulation support. Um, that actually gave comfort level as a market access, as an entry of market access to Southeast Asia market. This is coming from overseas to Southeast Asia, but also for Southeast Asian entrepreneur. I think Magic had this accelerator program also for they brought ASEAN entrepreneurs. They love Malaysia so much. They love the connectivity that we have. They love the people. That part of the world you cannot replicate Cyberjaya in other parts. I've been in Bangkok ecosystem, Jakarta, Saigon, Cambodia recently. They cannot. I don't think they will able to replicate with what we have in Cyberjaya. So if we stick to that, we will attract more investors to do testings, and that testing opportunity has a lot more investments into the country, into at least Cyberjaya.
That's exactly what we're promoting. We are promoting ourselves as a test bed or a launch pad for all these companies and
Oh,
businesses,
really? Okay.
startups. Yes, definitely. They can pilot their solutions, their inventions. We provide them with we have space. For one, I think Cyberjaya, we have space as compared to other places in Malaysia like KL City Center or Bangsa Damansara. The advantage for us is that we have space, readily made space. For example, for smart mobility especially, they could really
Absolutely.
use this to their benefit. So definitely we always promote ourselves as a test bed for them to pilot the solutions here and then eventually replicating it to other parts in Malaysia and also maybe eventually outside of Malaysia as well to commercialize. All right. The next one, we have an attendee saying, thank you, Mr. Atasha, for your insights. A chicken and egg question. Introduce smart technology first or nurture smart ready community? Introduction versus adoption.
Introduction versus adoption. Um, Number one startup, the startup killer in the world has always been about introducing something that you think what people want. So the answer has always been about, okay, so let me retract one step, is that if you believe that you want to change the world, you start with a story. It's not the story of about you, but the story of the person next to you or the person in the community. If you have the right eyes and ears to listen to the story, to listen to what they complain, to listen what they usually gossip, to listen to what they really want, you could actually develop solution and adopt technology to support what they need. Never go to the other way around. I've been seeing entrepreneurs. Okay, this is a very important point. I've seen many companies burning money for this. I've seen a lot of companies burn hundreds of thousands. They think that people need their solution. They think they need the technology. But at the end of the day, people don't need it. So, and so what changed the company is that after they start listening to stories of the people in the community. So yeah, that would be my answer.
Okay. That's important. You listen to the person next to you. It's not just about what you think is right, but also you need to know, what's happening around you in order to be able to provide. Okay. The next question is from Iman. It says, "Hi, Atasha. What would you love to see in Cyberjaya for the upcoming 5 years?"
Cyberjaya coming 5 years, I want to see more people in Cyberjaya. I want to see more entrepreneurs using Cyberjaya, really using Cyberjaya to achieve their dream. You know, everybody has a dream. They don't know where to start. But if Cyberjaya can be that place to let these dreamers to achieve their entrepreneurship goal, this is something that I would really, really love to see. You know, I was involved in even the starting of Magic. You know, even before Obama came. You know, I was. This is very instrumental, and I would love to see that this happen in the next 5 years.
Definitely. I think we can concur and oh, sorry. Yes, we agree with you as well, Encik Atasha. We would love to see more people, more entrepreneurs, not just in the next 5 years, but in the next 10 to 20 years to come. What more now with digital revolution that's going to be happening, especially now in a post-COVID-19 world where digitalization is more important than ever. So I think the tech ecosystem that we have in Cyberjaya is something that many companies need right now at this moment for them to excel and accelerate. So with that, I think we have, thank you for the questions from all of our hipsters. I think we have come to the end of today's session. Thank you very much, Encik Atasha, for your insights and for your experiences. I think that as the first internal tech talk for Cyberview, we have gained a lot of information, important information today, being in a smart city like Cyberjaya. So, Encik Atasha, we hope that we're able to see you in the future, for perhaps for upcoming webinars, inshallah. But thank you so much for being our first guest speaker for our first internal
Thank you so
tech
much.
talk.
It's my absolute pleasure.
I think we have gained a lot of information, useful information for us to move forward in revitalizing the city, smart city of Cyberjaya. With that, thank you again to all hipsters who have joined on this Friday afternoon for our Tech Talk webinar. We hope to see you again soon for the next one. And again, thank you very much, Encik Atasha, for being our speaker for today. With that, Assalamualaikum and have a good weekend to everyone.
Thank you, Nadia. Thank you.